In a time of unprecedented challenges, South Africa's President Cyril Ramaphosa stands at a crossroads, from corruption scandals to the formation of a new government of national unity. His leadership has been put to the ultimate test. But is Ramaphosa the leader South Africa needs? Or is he merely a figurehead for the powerful interest of white monopoly capital?
Business leaders who are here, ministers, deputy ministers, and all colleagues, officials in government, I'd like to extend a hearty word of welcome to you all, and leaders in state-owned enterprises. I'm glad to see that you're here, and this is our very first meeting in the 7th administration, properly named the Government of National Unity. In case you didn't know, first meeting with our business colleagues to extend the partnership that we have.
Welcome to Inkari is Time, where we dissect the most pressing issues facing South Africa today. I'm Gondos, your host, and in today's episode, we take a closer look at Cyril Ramaphosa's leadership, his handling of the Phala scandal, his efforts to tackle corruption within the ANC, and his controversial negotiations with the Democratic Alliance to form a government of national unity. As his critics grew louder, accusing him of serving the interest of the white monopoly capital, we ask the question, is Ramaphosa leading South Africa in the right direction? First, let's address the elephant in the room, the Phala scandal. The revelation of a burglary at the president's farm involving large sums of foreign currency has raised serious questions about transparency and accountability. Ramaphosa has consistently denied any wrongdoing, but the public and opposition parties remain skeptical. Has this scandal irreparably damaged his credibility as a leader committed to fighting corruption?
Mr. President, in line with your stated commitment to eradicate the criminal economy, and if you are genuine with that commitment, why did you not report the crime in Phala to the relevant and appropriate law enforcement institution, like how all all citizens are expected to report a crime? Secondly, what message does it send to the nation when the allegations of money laundering, kidnapping, torturing, all happening in the president's farm, and the president refuses to take the nation into his confidence? And secondly, the president refuses to account to Parliament about what transpired. Thank you.
I thank you, Honorable the President.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I have said and admitted that there was a theft at the farm, and I reported that to a general of the South African Police, who later informed me that he's also reported it to another general of the South African Police. That matter, obviously, is under processing within the police service. They are dealing with it. I deny that there was any form of money laundering. I have said, and I've said it more publicly, that it was proceeds of sale of game.
Order, Kaloku, order. Order, honorable members, order. Order, honorable members, will you please listen? Proceed, Mr. President.
I have been a cattle farmer and a game farmer for a number of years, a matter that I have disclosed in my disclosures here in Parliament, as well as to the Secretary of the Cabinet. And that is an activity that sometimes results in the sale of cattle, as well as the sale of animals such as buffalo, sable, roan, and what have you. And that is a matter that takes place from time to time, and even recently we've been able to conclude, my managers have concluded, a process where a parcel of buffalo was also sold. So that, in my view, is not money laundering. It is a process that goes on. As regards to accounting to Parliament, I have said that I'm willing, prepared, and able to subject myself to all manner of investigations, as well as inquiries, as well as processes that are unfolding here in Parliament. There is now a Section 81 process, which 89 rather, meant to say 89, process which I have clearly and openly said I will cooperate in, and I will cooperate to the fullest of my ability. This matter has been subjected to a number of investigations by a number of authorities. The other time I counted, there were up to 7 or 8 authorities that are looking into this. And I have said very openly that I'm willing to subject myself to that process, and that process is now underway. And my accountability to Parliament will obviously fully culminate in the structure of the Section 89 committee that you, as members of the National Assembly, have set up, and that is where my full cooperation will also be displayed. Thank you, Honourable Speaker.
Thank you, Honourable President. The last supplementary question will be asked by the Honourable MGE Hendricks. Honourable Hendricks, is he on the virtual platform? Will you please open for Honourable Hendricks if he is on the virtual platform? Okay, Honourable Hendricks is not here. Shall we then proceed to deal with question number 15? You'd like to ask a follow-up question? Yes?
Mr. President, thank you very much for your response, and we certainly welcome the fact that you've broken the silence. Mr. President, I would ask you a simple question. If you reported it to a general in the police force, why was no case number ever given, and why was no case open? Thank you.
The Honourable the President.
I reported it as one would report, and when you report to a police general, you expect that processes will unfold in the way that they should, and in the end, the police general will be able to answer that question. Thank you.
Next, we turn to Ramaphosa's efforts to clean up the ANC. Since taking office, he has promised to root out corruption within the party. Yet, despite his efforts, many within the ANC remain untouched by the law. The party continues to be plagued by scandals, from state capture to the misuse of public funds. Can Ramaphosa truly reform the ANC, or is the road too deep to remove?
Ramaphosa was responding to the debate on the presidency's budget vote. He conceded that there are problems at all levels of government.
We must, as we have done, acknowledge that there have been failures of governance in several areas of government, in municipalities, in departments, both at provincial and national level, and in our state-owned enterprises, and a number of other government entities.
He says law enforcement agencies are now cracking down on those accused of corruption.
Many of these investigations have been concluded, and the dockets have either been handed over to the NPA or are in the process of being handed over. There have been referrals for disciplinary processes for officials who were involved in corruption. Through the special tribunal which we established, millions in stolen funds have been recouped and continue to be recouped. Through the work of other entities like the Asset Forfeiture Unit, the NPA Investigative Directorate, the Hawks Cleanup Audit Task Team, there have been arrests, asset forfeitures, and the freezing of bank accounts of those who were involved in malfeasance.
Perhaps most controversial are Ramaphosa's recent negotiations with the Democratic Alliance to form a government of national unity. Critics argue that this is a betrayal of the ANC's values, while others see it as a pragmatic move to stabilize the country during a time of economic and political turmoil. What does this GNU mean for the future of South Africa? And is Ramaphosa compromising too much to stay in power?
So, from the beginning, Cyril Ramaphosa came up with this notion of a government of national unity, which he thought would be a better way of selling the concept of coalition to his own party. Now, this of course is not a government of national unity, because a government of national unity brings all parties together, which would have had to include the EFF and the MK party, which it did not. But it still gave the president the fig leaf he needed to bring in all sorts of smaller parties to say, I'm not in a coalition with the DA. Now, the truth is that we are actually in a coalition, because a coalition means that if a party withdraws from the coalition, the government falls.
You don't want to be bullied by the DA, as we see it daily. And it's kind of irritating what Helen Zille is doing. You have a partner that you don't even think twice to go and insult in the media and, or say also, we don't want to hear that. We were hoping that as a government of national unity, you're going to address poverty of the black child, how you're going to address inequality, and how you're going to address unemployment. But to come and show off on how powerful you are and make it about yourself and a big show, I mean, it makes a mockery out of this whole government of national unity, which, by the way, we warned them, to say, what is this? It's really a government that of neoliberal unity.
Do you think it'll last? It
will not last, because as a wise man say, izozala inkomoni this. What kind of a creature will come out of this GNU? What is it that brings together this GNU? This is just a way of the white minority, the capital, to maintain a power sharing, which is what they wanted since 1994. They wanted a power sharing, not power transfer. And now they have an opportunity once again to go into power sharing to protect what they want to protect, but not to allow black people to be sovereign, to take charge of their lives, to get hold of their minerals, their land, and progress in the manner in which they see fit to progress as a people. So they want to impose themselves into all of this without having won elections.
The ANC DA government can never truly represent any sort of middle ground in South Africa. The GNU is actually not a government of national unity, but a government of neoliberal unity. It's a government united against the people of South Africa, in my opinion. And their solidarity, the GNU solidarity, is with parasitic, predatory, colonizing Western private sector power, not solidarity with their own citizens. With regards to what the GNU means in terms of socioeconomic justice in South Africa, the GNU poses a grave and imminent threat to socioeconomic justice in South Africa, in my opinion. And that's coming at a time when South Africa is already grappling with catastrophic socioeconomic injustice already. So we're talking about an already critical situation. The people of South Africa are like a boxer who's been getting pummeled for half the fight already, and now his opponent is in the corner getting a shot of adrenaline and PCP. Whatever advances might have been made in post-apartheid South Africa, they're going to be reversed. This isn't a case of one step forward and two steps back. This is a case of one step forward on a conveyor belt that's going backwards. You should view this government this GNU as essentially a colonial regime. Now, that's not to say that people should approach it with hostility, but they should know that the government is itself approaching them with hostility. Now, that being the case, approaching the government itself in a hostile manner would only predictably result in repression, which is something that neoliberalism thrives on. Neoliberalism thrives on social chaos and crisis.
Finally, let's address the criticism that has dogged Ramaphosa throughout his presidency. The allegation that he is a puppet of white monopoly capital. His detractors claim that his policies favor the wealthy and that his leadership is more about maintaining the status quo than bringing about true transformation. But is this criticism fair?
Continue this way. I went to the ANC, it was back and forth, begging people to actually focus on the possible revolutionary path. It will be better to be irritated by the EFF in cabinet than to be irritated by the neoliberal forces who want to be dominant and take control of the revolution. I'm not the leader of the EFF, but I went to see them, and I want to appreciate that they respected my engagement. I know them. I gave Floyd his first job. He was the leader of the Young Communist League. Yes, not that he has to pay back anything. Yes, but we have a line. I can talk to him. Nothing stops me from talking to him. So we have an engagement. And Dr. Ndlozi, we had engagement with all of them. We agreed, guys. This is now the new strategy going forward. But some of the comrades in the ANC, particularly this neoliberal faction, was too impatient. They did not want to engage with them. They did not even want to offer them something serious. And yet they went on to offer these reactionary forces, anti-revolutionary forces, colonial forces, so much power. This is the issue. Then the other faction inside the African National Congress was too helpless to reconfigure this. They debated in the NEC and so forth, we understand, but it didn't go anywhere. The ANC had its set up political power, then it has to do this with the DA. But listen to how the DA tops up this thing to their advantage. In the morning in Parliament, President Adrian Basson of News 24 releases to the media 2 signatures. Fikile Mbalula, LNZ, to the public. Nothing else. Just the signature. God. Everyone is furious, is angry. The ANC is sold out. Coordinated. That same day. So it doesn't give the people the truth.
Straight answer.
It's a big question for us. Firstly, let me start with what Mpumela is saying. He gave a doctoral analysis of this question.
Yeah, no, he's a PhD.
I credit him for this. Look, firstly, what President Ramaphosa got, what Mpumela characterized as a good deal, it's a bad neoliberal deal for this country. Sure. It's more poverty for this country, for the working class.
Yeah.
Capitalism has failed this country for 3 decades after democracy, but for centuries. That is why more capitalism will never take our people out of poverty. That's the first. It's an ideological question. It's the reality.
Yeah.
More austerity measures, budget cuts, and everything else on social services and development of our country will never develop this country. That's what it means. And this is the arrangement with capital that he has entered into.
Yeah.
So it's a bad deal politically and revolutionary. It's an anti-revolutionary deal.
Finally, let's address the criticism that has dogged Ramaphosa throughout his presidency. The allegation that he is a puppet of white monopoly capital. His detractors claim that his policies favor the wealthy and that his leadership is more about maintaining the status quo than bringing about true transformation. But is this criticism fair, or is it a convenient narrative for those who oppose his attempts at reform?
MK, ANC, EFF is the same family. We come from the same things. There is nothing I'm saying today which Nelson Mandela did not say, by the way. Everything that we're saying, it is in the Freedom Charter. So when you say the EFF demanded unreasonable thing, just tell us one thing which they asked for which is outside the Freedom Charter. What is it? This illiterate Mbalula will never tell you what is the story about the whole thing. He has got no idea. He just says, no, they are unreasonable. Now they are telling us that there are black parties. What about black parties? When people have sold out, they will say all kinds of things they want to say. But it's not true. We have never made unreasonable demand. One of the unreasonable demand we made in 2016 was that Zuma must resign as a president before we give the ANC our votes. They refused. In this year negotiations, we said we are not even asking for your president to resign. If you don't want to go into a government with us, we are prepared as the EFF to sit outside government, but vote for a minority government, which is what we are doing in Gauteng, by the way. The ANC in Gauteng refused to go with the DA. As a result, they've got 36%. From time to time, for them to pass anything, they come to the EFF and MK and say, these are the issues we negotiate, we vote for them. The ANC said no to DA. They passed their budget. What stopped Ramaphosa? The ANC in Gauteng does that with 36%. Ramaphosa has got 40%. What stops him from constituting a minority government? Wes, Mapantiti are prepared to give him their percentage. Olomisa is prepared to give him a percentage. PAC is prepared. So it's even beyond 40%. With all those as convicts, criminals, that's how disparate they are. They even go and take criminals into government. Now the criminals are embarrassing them because they don't know anything about governance. So Cyril can govern this country, doesn't need the DA, he doesn't need the Freedom Front Plus. But because he is sold out, he can never go on without those people.
As South Africa navigates these turbulent times, Cyril Ramaphosa's leadership is under intense scrutiny. While he faces significant challenges, the decision he makes now will shape the future of our country for years to come. Will Ramaphosa be remembered as the leader who saved South Africa, or as the one who let it slip further into crisis? Time will tell. Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Do you believe Cyril Ramaphosa is the right leader for South Africa, or has he failed to live up to his promises? Don't forget to like, share and subscribe to Inkari. It's time for more in-depth analysis on the issues that matters most. Thank you for watching and take care.